welcome to my Christmas Q&A. I love it when you guys ask me questions and I sit down and do a Q&A for you. So here goes. I asked TikTok, I asked Instagram, and I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. What is your favourite part of Christmas? That is Emily's question. I think my favourite part of Christmas is when everybody is at home together, having fun. I love decorating for Christmas with the family. I love everybody being at home and just having lots of fun. We were away for Christmas last year, which felt really odd. I'm sorry, Tess is doing laps around the house. I thought she'd settled. I can hear her again. She might have to come and sit on my lap. What's your favourite part about living in the countryside? I just love the space. I love the peace. I say that. There's always something going on. Hopefully she goes and settles down. I love the space. I love long walks in the fresh air. Yeah, I'm a country girl through and through. Where is your apron from? Oh, I think you're talking about this one. This apron is from H&M, and I will see if it's still available. I will leave it linked down below, but I love it. I love a frilly apron. I like to be girly. I like to have a bit of fun, and yeah. Recipe for honey and orange gammon joint, please. Well, hang on a minute. My recipe for gammon is in here, and it doesn't have honey and orange, but I think it's brilliant. I get lots of compliments on it. I have been cooking it this way for many, many years, and that is mine. And I do a glaze actually with mustard and brown sugar, and it's just, yeah, mustard, demerara sugar, and utterly, utterly delicious. So I will leave that link down below as well. When do you cook your Christmas Day meat? On Christmas Day, I try and do everything in advance, but the meat I do on the day. Growing up, what did Christmas look like and entail in your household? And that is Jake's question. Jake, we had really lovely Christmases. Christmas was probably like the happiest time of year. We had two really happy times of the year growing up. One was when we were up in Scotland. We had a house up in the Highlands, and my dad was always on really good form when we were up there, and he was always on good form at Christmas, and that meant that life was happy. He wasn't on good form the rest of the time. So Christmas was always really magical. We lived in a small village in the countryside, and we used to walk down the lane to church. We lived in the old rectory, and it was just lovely walking down to the village church. And there was always a nativity that my brother and I were in. My brother has a beautiful singing voice, so he would always sing a solo. And it was just a really special time. We'd walk back from church, and then we would open presents and we would sit down and eat. And it was just lovely. Mum always made a special effort on Christmas Eve as well. So we'd have like a black tie dinner and get dressed up, and the grandparents would come and stay. And it was just really a lovely family time. And my dad didn't scream and shout too much, so that was a huge blessing. A lovely sage-based stuffing recipe, please. Piper's Farm have got one, and I will leave that link down below. It's sage and sausage meat, but it is a really lovely recipe. Another question about the apron. How do you do your roasties? Again, my recipe is in here, and you can do them on the day, or you can do them in advance and let them cool, freeze them, then let them fully defrost and just reheat them through till they're piping hot. If you reheat them from frozen, they will turn out like bullets, so don't do that. But if you want to get ahead, you can do that. I cook mine in some beef dripping and a little bit of flour, and actually I have got a TikTok and Instagram showing how I cook my roast potatoes, so there's that there if you'd like to go and have a look. Easy canapes, again I've got some easy canapes in here, but puff pastry is basically your best friend when it comes to canapes. And you can keep some puff pastry in the freezer and you can just defrost it and use it. You can do like mini brie and cranberry. You can do, I do an artichoke brie and pesto. You can do like little mini pizzas. You can put an olive on there and a little bit of cheese. I saw some really clever spoons. Somebody shared a video with me the other day of some spoons that you can then put some salmon or something on, and you can have a puff pastry spoon as a canapé, which I think is a great idea. So I think basically puff pastry is your best friend. Sausages always work really well. I think smoked salmon is a great canapé. You can just get some, you know, some cold meats and, you know, do that, whatever. Easy, quick things, I think is the way forward. Okay, we're now moving on to the Instagram questions. What are your children's stocking essentials? I think things that they need. So, you know, practical things. Coco's asked for some makeup bits. The boys have got, you know, really boring, but socks. And Archer's actually asked for some trainer wipes. Just things that are useful. I think I always pop some sweets in there, some chocolate, some, you know, foodie bits. And just, yeah, I try not to fill their stockings with things that they're just going to open and be like, oh, why has mum given me this? Because it's just not, it's not useful, and it's just, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to like it. I don't bother with things like that. Practical things that they actually need is the way forward. So whether that, I don't know, it's like a moisturizer or, I don't know, Archer's really into surfing, so I might do something surfing related. When they were younger, I used to put little toys and fun things in their stockings, but as they've got older, it's got more practical. What's your most memorable Christmas and why? Probably the one where mum didn't turn up. I was pregnant with Coco, and that was stressful. That was a bad Christmas. I think the bad ones stick in your memory more than the good ones, don't they? Yes, but we've had some really lovely happy Christmases. As a child, we used to go and stay in a hotel every other year with my grandparents on mum's side, and that was really special. It was really magical. I had very happy times then. So Teresa's question is how to season a cast iron pan. So, you know, new cast iron pan, I would wash it thoroughly with washing up liquid. I then would, I actually like to use olive oil, and I would pop olive oil maybe on some kitchen paper or on a cloth and rub it all over the cooking surface of the pan, and then pop that into a really hot oven for a couple of hours and repeat that process 3 or 4 times. And then to clean it, use salt and water. Don't use washing up liquid because that will then strip off what you've just done to season it. But sea salt works really well to kind of clean it off and look after it. So that's what I would do. What are your Boxing Day plans? We have been invited to some really, really great friends. Their daughter is Coco's best friend, and my son, one of my sons, gets on really well with her older sister, and we just adore them. They are lovely. Great family friends, and they've got loads of other friends that we all get on brilliantly with, so it's going to be a brilliant day. Really looking forward to that. In what order do you cook Christmas Day lunch, and so to serve everything hot? Well, that is a question. I do as much as I possibly can in advance. So on the day I would cook the sprouts and the meat. So if we're having turkey, for example, I would do that. I would have done my roast potatoes in advance. I would have done my red cabbage in advance. I would have done my bread sauce in advance. I might do like a cheesy cauliflower bake on the day. And I am really lucky because I've got the Arga, so I can keep things hot. But I think if you don't, then it's just like cooking a Sunday roast. And so I don't think you need to overthink it, but do what you can in advance and reheat it. And if you're limited on oven space, if you've got a microwave, you can always heat a bread sauce or a white sauce or a cheesy sauce up in a microwave. I actually do my gravy in advance as well, and then the meat juices that have come out from cooking the turkey on the day, I will either top up the gravy with that, or I will use that gravy for making like leftover pies and things afterwards. But the more you do in advance, the easiest, the best. But also when your meat is resting, that is a great time to reheat things or to cook things. So that's a good option. But I always get my potatoes going if I'm cooking them from scratch. I get my potatoes cooking once I've put the meat in the oven. I peel the potatoes and I get them ready, and then I do the other veg at the same time. So hopefully that is helpful. But just think of it as a Sunday roast. Don't stress about it. How do you cater for 15 people with a small hob? I used to cater for Ditchling Rugby Club on a baby belling, and so I was cooking for like 30-40 people every Saturday on a baby belling, and so you just have to juggle things, and you just have to keep things hot with tin foil, and you just have to be super organised. And I think it's all in like the prep work, which is kind of like with everything. The more prepared you are, the easier it is, and you just have to heat things up, and then try and keep them as warm as possible, and then quickly reheat them before you're going to serve. And yeah, it's just juggling. Keep you on your toes. Hello Charlie. Teacher gift recommendations. I think something homemade is really lovely, and I just think, do they want a candle, and do they want a bottle of something? Probably not. So really lovely to team up with other parents, send a WhatsApp round or an email and say, shall we all club together? I think gift vouchers work really well. So, if you have 15-20 parents that all team up together and put in a £5, then you can get a gift voucher for, I don't know, John Lewis's or something like that. Then you can use that in Waitrose, you can use that in John Lewis's, and that's a really nice gift for a teacher rather than giving them a whole load of stuff. But I love to give them like a jar of marmalade or some mince pies or some Florentines or something like that I've made, as well as a little personal touch. I think is really lovely. Top boy stocking gifts, please, for a 10-year-old. I don't know. I think it just depends on what the boy's into. It's really hard. I'll have a think and I'll see if I can come back to you on that, because I'm slightly struggling with my 12-year-old because he doesn't really particularly want anything. I think books, cards, they always need pens, funny little things that they're into. I mean, Gus loves like a pea shooter and silly things like that are quite fun. Presents before or after lunch. We do some before and some after. We split them up. A good alternative to bake if no one likes Christmas cake. That's a great question, Tor. I actually just shared an alternative Christmas cake recipe with my members club, but I think just a really lovely sponge. I used actually glacier cherries and mixed peel in a beautiful sponge, and I put orange blossom water in some icing over the top, and it was really, really lovely. So it had a little nod to Christmas without being like a traditional fruitcake. What's your favourite Christmas carol? I love all the carols from Kings, and I'll leave that linked, that album link, I will leave that album linked down below. We were listening to them last night. Simon and I actually did our Christmas cards last night. When you're watching this, you'll think I've left it rather late, but actually I'm filming this ahead of time just to get a little bit ahead, because this time of year is crazy. So we were listening to carols from King's Choir Cambridge while writing our cards, and it was really lovely. I love Silent Night. Yeah, I actually love all of the carols. I don't know if I could pick out a particular favourite, but Silent Night, I suppose, probably is just about my favourite. What do you have for tea on Christmas Eve? We have a formal dinner on Christmas Eve, so I will probably do something like beef Wellington, and I make like a special effort on Christmas Eve. So we'll have like probably Christmas cake at mid-afternoon, and then we will have a proper dinner. I'll lay the table, I will get the candles out, and I will make an effort, and we have like a more formal dinner, which is a tradition my mum started. Any Christmas dessert ideas that's not Christmas pudding, I can't get on with it. Something like a lovely tangerine sorbet, really lovely and actually light after you've had a big meal. I think a beautiful tangerine or orange sorbet, an orange and chocolate mousse, absolutely delicious. But you need to try my Christmas pudding recipe because it's really light, and I don't like traditional Christmas pudding, but I love my one. What traditions do you do as a family to remember the reason for the season? Well, we always go to church on Christmas Day. Probably as the children get older, we'll go to midnight mass. But I think actually the children like going to church on Christmas Day. It's become a tradition. We have lots of friends that go, and so it's really lovely to see them. We also have carols and readings leading up. So normally the Sunday before Christmas Day, we will have a lovely carol service and readings. So that's a lovely service that we do, and I think it is really important to remember the message and the reason behind Christmas, that it's not just a commercial holiday. There's a lot more to it, and so I've always gone to church on Christmas Day, and I always will. I think it would feel very odd to me if I didn't go and remember what it's all about. What's on your Christmas wish list this year? Do you know what? I don't have anything like that I really want. I think just having a lovely time with the family, and I've said to Si, we don't go big on presents. Like, we'll buy things that we might need. So he's got some bits and pieces that he needs, and I've given him a couple of pointers of things that I could do with, but it's normally practical things. I've had a wheelbarrow, I've had a toolkit, I've had all sorts of things like that. Maybe a bottle of perfume is really lovely, but I don't see the point in spending money just to give stuff unless you need it and you want it. I think we live in a world where there's just too much stuff, so I'm much more less is more kind of person. How to manage present overload with young children: spread it out. And I always have a really good declutter of their toys before Christmas, so there's space for them, but I spread out the presents. So I might actually let them open a few on Christmas Eve, and then a few on Christmas Day, and then a few on Boxing Day. And I think just spreading it out and actually letting them play and enjoy the present that they've been given, rather than just unwrapping them as quickly as they possibly can, and just tossing things to one side. I think it's much nicer just to kind of, you can have 2 presents now, and then maybe like after tea you can have another 2 presents, and I just spread it out because I think that's a much better way of doing it rather than all in one go. Top 5 hosting tips for the festive season and Christmas Day. Preparation is key. Write a list, delegate, keep calm, and carry on. Like, I often say to myself, is this worth getting wound up about? And so if a family member is annoying you, or somebody said something hurtful, because it happens at Christmas, just take a moment, breathe. Is this worth it? Is this worth getting wound up about? If the answer, just think, let it go. Often it's best just to let it go. Pick your battles as well with children. Do you want to have that big row in front of family members, or you just take a child just to one side and say, please don't do that, that's really upset me. We're not going to have a big deal about it right now, but please remember your manners, or whatever it might be. And remember to have a gracious heart. I think it's really important. And delegate, get people involved. Toss somebody a tea towel and say, come and do the drying up. You can say to somebody, can you help clear the table? Get people involved. What do you like to do between Christmas and New Year? Not very much, but it is a time when we see friends and family as well. So we have got friends coming to stay this year. We are going to see some friends on the 27th. But actually I like to put my feet up. I like to have a bit of time off. I like to snuggle up on the sofa with the kids, with a movie, and yeah, just enjoy being, basically, and lots of walks, lots of fresh air. Favourite tradition? I think when the children were younger, I used to read them a beautiful little book, The Lamb of Bethlehem, and we would read that before they went to bed on Christmas Eve. And I think that's just important to remember what Christmas is all about. So that was one thing that I always did with the children. And I think just going to church and family time, and yeah, we've got little things that we do, certain candles that we light, and just, yeah, I think it's really lovely to create traditions and memories and things that you do as a family. Like when we're decorating the tree, there's always a couple of decorations that go on first, and the children will, know that and remember, and they're like special memories to them, which is, I think, what Christmas is about. It's creating like your memories and your traditions. But we've got lots. I'm quite a funny thing. I love tradition, and I'm really old-fashioned. What's your favourite Christmas memory so far? I think we talked about that. I think like last year we were away, we were skiing, and whilst it was really lovely, we missed being at home. I think we all love being at home for Christmas, and we are actually going to friends on Christmas Day after church, which will be really lovely. But everybody piles into our bed on Christmas morning with their stockings, and that is really special. It's a really lovely way to start the day, with everybody on the bed laughing and giggling, and then we'll get up and do the animals together, and then have breakfast, get ready for church, go to church, and then come back and open some presents. But this year we're going to friends, and then we'll come back and open presents in the evenings when my husband's done crazy things. Another, what's your favourite Christmas tradition? We've got lots of those questions. How do you manage Christmas when missing loved ones that have sadly passed away? We always have a toast to absent friends and family. And I also think about them and think how they would want us to be reacting at the fact that they're no longer around. And they would want us to be happy, and they would want us to be enjoying it. They wouldn't want us to be sad and miserable that they're not there. So we always do a toast to absent friends and family. We stand up, we raise a glass, and then we move on. And I think that's a lovely way to remember them, but also to remember that it is sad that they're no longer there, but life does go on, and it is important to carry on, but to remember as well, but to try and not get too sad. And I know that's easy for me to say, if somebody's died, and it's all still very raw, it can be really difficult. And I do totally understand. Mum died in November, and so that first Christmas without her was really hard, but we always have raised a glass to absent friends and family, and that it's a really lovely tradition. So that might be something that you might want to do too. I don't have a cold. It's the hay from the horses that's made me a bit bunged up. What do you like to serve for Christmas lunch? I love a turkey, Vanessa. Because I love cold turkey. I love cold turkey sandwiches. I love turkey and gammon pie, or turkey and leek pie. So I love cooking a turkey for Christmas. But sometimes we have other things, but my favourite thing is turkey. What's your favourite Christmas film and song? Oh my goodness. There's too many. I love The Holiday. I love Love Actually. I love the Nativities. The Nativities, I think, are just brilliant. Favourite Christmas song? Last Christmas by Wham. It gets me going every time I hear it. Your favourite moment of Christmas? I think when the children pile into our bedroom on Christmas morning. I think that has to be it. What do you give an 8-year-old boy and a 13-year-old boy for Christmas? Oh, Sue, it's so tricky. Yeah, I'm struggling too. So, yeah, I think ask them. I mean, my boys actually, and it's know it sounds really boring, but they love some cash that they can then go and spend on things that they want to spend it on. And they, you know, saving up for things. So Arch is massively into surfing, so he's always saving up for, I don't know, whether it's a new wetsuit or a new surfboard, or I don't know, he's just bought himself some boots for surfing because it's pretty cold at the moment, so he's just bought some of those for himself. So I know it's really boring, but I think ask them what they would like, and I think maybe think about some cash or a voucher, something like that. Boring as it is, it's what they seem to like. Or a memory, like an experience, or go to see a show or something, or the cinema, and go and do something that they can remember and enjoy and love, which I think is really fun too. Your Christmas non-negotiables. I don't really know. I'm not really a kind of non-negotiable person. Everyone's got to muck in. Everyone's got to have a happy time. I don't want any rowing or any arguing. I think that would be it. Couple of questions here. Have you considered doing a course or a digital download on jams, jellies and chutneys? I'm thinking about it. I'm working out how best to do it, so bear with, but yes, I'd love to, because I love putting things in jam jars. Also, when your mince pies have been taken out of the freezer and have defrosted, do you reheat them? And if so, what temperature and how long for? So I just, once they're fully defrosted, I put them in an oven tray in the roasting oven of my Arga. So that's about 190 approximately. And I leave them in there for like 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what I do. So probably put them in at like 180 to 190, yeah, for about 5 minutes or so, just until they're hot through. And finally, have you ever considered making panettone? No, I haven't tried that. I've got a stolen recipe in here. I haven't tried panettone, but maybe that's a challenge for me to learn how to make for next year. Can you do a video on batch cooking and what you can and can't freeze? Yes, of course, Jessica, I can do a batch cooking video for you in the new year now. What are your children's stocking essentials? I think we've talked about stockings, but think practical. How to stay chilled, not on the day, but with the busyness of Christmas and being stretched. Just take a moment for yourself. Think gracious heart. If things are becoming overwhelming, step outside for a moment, count to 10, maybe 50, and then come back in. Did you have any Christmas traditions with young children and toddlers? Yes, we always went to the pantomime, and I always read a Christmassy book before they went to bed about the story of Christmas on Christmas Eve, which I think was really lovely. So those are two things that we always did. So that is all the questions from this year's Christmas Q&A. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new to my channel, I would absolutely love it if you would hit subscribe, ring the bell to be notified of my weekly videos. I will see you again very soon, I hope, and in the meantime, sending much love.